Trump brings this sweet young boy, 13 years old, into the chamber, and his dream is to become law enforcement, and he's survived brain cancer, and he's there with his dad, and Trump calls attention to the story. And this was much better. Like, I have to say, there was something about these stories last night. Tell me if you feel the same, Rich. They always bring somebody. Every president who does this brings a few people into the chamber so they can tell their personal story. And sometimes it's a heart, breaker. Sometimes it's inspirational. I don't remember actually really feeling so moved repeatedly, by some wow. And I mentioned Canadian Debbie. I'm softer than she is. She is tough. She's Holly Hunter in broadcast news. If she's shedding a tear, you've done something right. And we were both in tears a couple of times last night. I really felt like they did a very, very good job in the art of the speech, taking us on a bit of an emotional journey. Trump with the laughs, but also those sentimental moments, which were crafted by his team, obviously, were really good. And the speech writing around their stories, really good. Let's just start with, since we're on the subject of little DJ, let's watch that moment.
In 2018, DJ was diagnosed with brain cancer. The doctors gave him 5 months at most to live. That was more than 6 years ago. Since that time, DJ and his dad have been on a quest to make his dream come true, and DJ has been sworn in as an honorary law enforcement officer, actually a number of times. The police love him, the police departments love him. And tonight, DJ, we're going to do you the biggest honor of them all. I am asking our new Secret Service Director, Sean Curran, to officially make you an agent of the United States Secret Service.
He looks so happy. His dad lifts him up. The head of the Secret Service giving him a badge. Oh, and he hugs him. Head of the Secret Service hugging DJ. Full arms around the neck. They're chanting DJ.
Thank you, DJ.
I mean, wow. And I'll just finish it off, Rich, by showing you the Democrat reaction. So here's the video. You can see the Republicans in the front clapping, and you can see the Democrats sitting. See them in the back? They're all sitting. They couldn't get to their feet for that moment. They've lost their way. There's something deeply wrong with somebody who cannot stand for that.
Yeah. One of my favorite parts of that moment, you don't know, but when DJ's talking to the head of the Secret Service right afterwards, he imagines it. So what do I get to do now? Yeah, what are my responsibilities? How do I get on the job? But this is a tradition that goes back. I think Reagan was the first to do it, and there was that terrible Air Florida crash at Washington National Airport. It wasn't Reagan then, of course. And there's a guy who I think might have been a off-duty fireman or just a bystander who swam out into the icy Potomac River and saved someone. And Reagan had that person in the balcony to recognize his heroism and sacrifice, save this person. So everyone's done this. Trump's taken it to a different level, though, because it's not just recognizing someone to make a point or to honor their. He makes something happen. With Limbaugh, right? He awarded the Medal of Freedom right there. Has the head of Secret Service come down. So things are happening. So it just goes to he's a showman, right? And he envisions this as a show. And to quote another John Podhoretz tweet from last night, it's a version of Oprah. You almost think Trump at some point is going to ask every member of Congress to look under their seat there and find their gift, right? So they can go out happy. At least Republicans would go out happy. Democrats would reject the car if they got a free car last night, just on principle.
It's true. Even if he were saying it's for your constituents, each of your constituents is getting one. No, it's a no.
Exactly.
All right, so now we will go to the moment that made Heart of Steel, Debbie Murphy, cry. I'm giving her a hard time. She's actually a lovely person. But It takes a lot for hardened news people to actually shed a tear. It does, because we're just in this business where we use gallows humor and we cover the darkest events of our times every day for years. She's been with me since I launched my first show in 2007. And this was it. It had to do with Jocelyn Nungaray. This was a little girl who was 12 years old who went out to the 7-Eleven and got attacked by two illegals from Venezuela. And they sexually assaulted her, tortured her, and threw her off a bridge. And her mother was there. This is one of the reasons I personally voted for Donald Trump and ran to the voting booth to do it. I was literally thinking of Jocelyn Nungaray. I didn't go to a voting booth. I filled it out by mail. But my point is simply, that's who was on my mind. This girl's story was so harrowing, and her poor mother, so distraught. And there was no reason for it. There was no reason for it. Joe Biden opened the southern border and killers came across. And the Democrats know it's true. It was done intentionally. And her mother was there last night, and President Trump announced an extraordinary thing to remember Jocelyn in SOT 12. Here it is.
Alexis, I promised that we would always remember your daughter, your magnificent daughter, and earlier tonight, I signed an order keeping my word to you. One thing I have learned about Jocelyn is that she loved animals so much. She loved nature. Across Galveston Bay, from where Jocelyn lived in Houston, you will find a magnificent national wildlife refuge, a pristine, peaceful, 34,000-acre sanctuary for all of God's creatures on the edge of the Gulf of America. Alexis, moments ago, I formally renamed that refuge in loving memory of your beautiful daughter, Jocelyn. So, Mr. Vice President, if you would, may I have the order?
You can see she's trying not to cry, Rich. And he, to your point about the showmanship, right? There's showmanship going on there, but there's true emotion too. I mean, there's something wrong with you, again, if you don't feel it. And yet, again, here is the Democrat reaction to that moment. Like, how do they not stand? How is not everyone on the left side of the chamber standing and clapping for that?
Now, this one, there's real ideological component. It's not just Trump derangement the way it is with DJ. They hate talking about victims of illegal immigrants. They just don't want to hear about it. They won't do it. The only time I can remember any Democrat ever addressing it, basically, is Biden was heckled into saying Laken Riley's name incorrectly in a State of the Union. And Kamala Harris, asked by Brett Baer about it, grudgingly says, this is terrible. They just can't, it doesn't compute for them. They think it's inherently hateful to point out that this happens. All crimes are terrible, obviously, but as an extra layer, if it's someone who just shouldn't have been here, and they don't get that, they won't admit it. And the best line for Trump the whole night, obviously, was that we didn't need a new immigration policy. We just needed a new president, which has been absolutely true. He obviously overpromises sometimes and overpromises on how quickly he can do things, but this is something he fixed instantly. Just the deterrent effect of Donald Trump being president again convinces a lot of people, well, maybe we should wait and see what happens. Two, they just ended catch and release. Now they need more resources. There's some more policies they need. They need some help from Congress, but he's just turned off the faucet almost instantly. So there's less strain on cities. You have the Roosevelt Hotel, which has been housing illegal immigrants, closing down for that purpose. You're going to have less criminals just by sheer math, right? Fewer illegal immigrants coming in, the fewer illegal immigrant criminals you're going to have. And he did that instantly. And Joe Biden could have stopped this from starting in the first place by not reversing all the Trump stuff, or done it himself. But he didn't want to, and they don't want to be faced with the consequences of what was a deliberate failure.
Here's that line in SOT 11.
The media and our friends in the Democrat Party kept saying we needed new legislation. We must have legislation to secure the border. But it turned out that all we really needed was a new president.
And what we're seeing still is that the support for Trump's policies when it comes to immigration remain sky high. I mean, even just those two polls that I mentioned at the top. Let's see. Trump's immigration and border plan. How do you feel about it? 77% like, only 23% say they dislike it. I mean, and then from the CNN survey, let's see, they go on. Roughly 6 in 10 viewers said they approved of Trump's handling of the presidency. And they point out, this is the CNN survey, Trump scored his highest marks of the night for his policies on immigration. 76% of speech watchers said his proposed policies on this issue would take America in the right direction. And then CNN trying to make it sound like it's a much different story when it comes to his other policies. They say, compared with closer to 6 in 10 who feel positive about his proposals to change how the government works, just 63% favor that, Rich, and his proposed policies on the economy, just 62% favor that. Okay, like those are amazing numbers for any presidential policy in a country that's as divided as ours is, but 76% on his immigration plans. Get up and clap for what he did for Jocelyn Nungaray. You don't go out and buy a life jacket when the boat is sinking, and you don't buy gold when the economy has already collapsed. Clearly, others are heeding this advice as gold hit all-time highs already this year. It's not too late for you, too, and you could have Birch Gold help you diversify into physical gold. Birch Gold specializes in helping you convert an existing IRA or 401k in whole or in part into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold, and for no money out of pocket. One recent 5-star review said Birch Gold was, quote, knowledgeable, helpful, non-pressure. Get your free info kit on gold by texting the letters MK to the number 989898. There is no obligation, just useful information. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and countless 5-star reviews, text MK to 989898 and let the experts at Birch Gold help you secure your future today with gold. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.